Hi, everybody. Welcome to Levels, where we explore the people and the stories that make our amazing community at All Level CrossFit. I'm your host, John, and today I'm thrilled to have Mike Whitehead joining me. Sit down, grab a cup of your favorite beverage, and get ready to learn a little bit more about that person sweating alongside of you. So, Mike, thank you for joining me on the very first podcast I've ever done. You're the initial guest. Like I said, um, this could be a home run, or this could be, thrown out at first. So I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm glad.
At least we're at the ballpark.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Yeah. I was born here in Windsor at Hotel Dieu, like most people in the county, and grew up in the west end of Windsor until I was about 10, and then moved up to Harrow, and spent the rest of my adolescent years out in Harrow with the Harrow High. And then from there, sustained an injury due to a car accident, a spinal cord injury. So that led me on my path to London, Ontario, then over to the States for 25 years, and full circle, I just came back home.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's how we met you here at the gym. So kind of backtracking a little bit. So moved out to Harrow, went to Harrow High. Did you play any sports when you were there?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate actually at the elementary school to have a gentleman named Bernie Bulette, Mr. B.
Mm-hmm.
And he would pick us up in the morning before school. And he would let you know at school, hey, you want to, come for early bird. It was either volleyball, basketball, or badminton. So, for example, basketball season, and he would drive his Buick to our house. And if your light was on outside, it meant you were coming. You were going to jump in the car.
Yeah.
And he would do that for all the kids.
Yeah.
And then the kids that lived in town. And then we didn't realize it, but we were training. Like by the time we were in grade 7, grade 8, we were all shooting left and right. And then competing after. A lot of us got really lucky with Mr. B. He'd make a few left-handed layups and he'd throw a caramel or a Tootsie Roll across the gym floor.
Yeah.
So my athletic career started that way. We were actually training, didn't really know it. It was just having fun, playing sports, and then played high school. And then my career took off in the wheelchair after that.
Yeah. So it's amazing when you can look back at something like that, and at the time you had no idea how lucky you were and what an amazing mentor and I guess like friend and teacher Mr. B was to give you that opportunity, like picking people up at their house, taking them to the gym beforehand. If we could all be so lucky as to have that, like that's amazing. And I guess that's what kicked you off in your athletic career.
Yeah, it was a spot for me to get the energy out, I had a hard time sitting still and still have a lot of energy. So, and then it gave me community, it gave me exercise, it gave me goals, and we would go compete against the other elementary schools in the county after school. So it was, it was full on. And yeah, you're right. What a gift, looking back, it was special. He had high standards. And also he was so he would drive from Windsor to Harrow every day, and pick us up and go to early bird. And so he had a lot of support for us too.
That's amazing. Now in high school, was basketball your main sport?
Basketball, volleyball were the two main sports, in soccer. I was a goalie-ish.
Yeah.
But we went to all Ontario's for volleyball and basketball, because us Harrow elementary school kids go into high school and we have some skills.
Yeah.
And so we competed at a high level for a small school, and Harrow High gymnasium was really low, the ceiling. So for volleyball, we all learned to bump in there like short little bumps. And then other kids would come in and they're used to a high gym, so they're roofing it constantly. Yeah. It was just one of those things you remember. Yeah, we had good teams.
Yeah, the situation that kind of gave you the ball control that you didn't know you had until you had other people come in there.
On low ceiling, yeah, it's like a golf course. Like we know how to play the course.
I remember we played in a gym in high school that was tiny, and you could barely shoot a three from the corner without your feet being out of bounds. But the home team knew that, and that's where they trap you. So it's all that home court advantage.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Okay, let's fast forward again. So injury, into a wheelchair. then kind of how did you make your way back to sports? Because I mean, there's a lot going on, obviously, when that kind of happens. And
spinal cord injury, it's catastrophic, right? You break your neck, and it's touch and go, and it's hard on the family, and you're in the hospital. I was in ICU for 4 weeks. Was having issues with the lungs and intubation and tracheotomy and the whole thing, right? And then there's like a 2-week bed rest period where reality pretty much sets in, where you're like, whoa, this is going to be tough. It's scary. It really is scary. But that's where, looking back again, it's like family really steps in and supports you. And, being a goal setter, I remember having a picture of like a bodybuilder kind of guy in a wheelchair in the hospital room. And it's just, I would look at that, and so I got to spinal cord rehab in London, Ontario. And what I wasn't aware of is the hospital has a relationship with the local wheelchair rugby team, wheelchair basketball team in the community. And so one of the guys on the Canadian wheelchair rugby team, he was prepping to go to Sydney. So I was there January 1st, 2000, like the day after Y2K. And by late February, early March, I had gone to my first wheelchair rugby practice in Chatham. He picked me up, and it was, it was very normal feeling, and that's what you kind of need, like you're hanging with a buddy, you just met, you're in the car, the windows are down, you're listening to tunes. And so that was very memorable. And we get to the gym, and I fell out of my chair in his van, and I was like, hey, I got really nervous. Like, can you help me? He's like, look at me. He's more disabled than me. I was like, can you go get someone in the building, to help me? Like, help me out. I'm nervous. And nurses are like, don't fall, whatever you do.
Yeah.
And I fall, and he's like, buddy, we're all disabled here. You got to figure it out. He just hung me there to dry, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
I fought for that Florida chair transfer, and then I got in the gym, and I started hanging out with guys that were in wheelchairs between 3 and like 25 years. And they're like, do this, don't do that. I had mentors, I had sport, I had community. I was in a gymnasium, which that's where I love. I love a gym, right?
Yeah.
And those, just that community, I'll never forget that day, really. And because of all the basketball skills and all the familiarity on a court, anticipation, vision, both hands, the coaches and my teammates can see that, oh, this guy kind of knows and can see what's going on out there.
Right.
So my progression in wheelchair rugby took off fairly quickly after that.
So forgive me, because I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to wheelchair rugby.
Yep.
How many players on the court at a time for each side?
Yeah, it's 4-on-4.
Yeah.
You have a basketball court, 4v4, right? Mm-hmm. And so you score it's called a try now, it's like a volleyball with a little bit different leather through the end zone of the basketball court.
Yeah.
Underneath the baseline.
Yeah.
And the baseline, there's 2 cones about 20 feet apart. So you're coming at me, and you have 3 teammates, and you're trying to get the ball across the line in your possession. Yeah. What's fun about wheelchair rugby, coming from a hockey guy and a physical, sport guy, is if I knock you out of knock your chair over, we're strapped in the chairs, hip, feet, knees, and stomach. If I knock you over, we get the ball, and you get a penalty if you land on me. So it's encouraged to knock each other over.
Right, right.
And in a wheelchair, at first, you're like, ooh, fragile. Yeah. Oh, be careful. Yeah. And this just blows that stereotype up. I'm trying to blow your chair up. Yeah. If I could break it, I could. And so, it's just fun. It's fun, and you have autonomy, and it's just a really cool sport. So, and that's how it works. It's full court press. So like in basketball, you know how exhausting it is to full court press. Yes. It's 90 minutes full court press. Yeah. The whole game is a full court press. Yeah. So you're always denying inbounds, denying to get half, because the rules are set up to be in favor of pressing. Okay. it takes years to get your arms. Like, it's exhausting. Like, years and years, you're like, I'm just dying.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a wild sport for so many reasons, because it's aggressive and it's also like high intelligence. There's a lot of thought.
Yeah, well, I could see like how your basketball background would translate into that, because I find that those court field sports have a lot of similarities in the way that the play flows, and especially because it's 4-on-4 and basketball's 5-on-5, right? So spacing, passing, all that kind of stuff. Interesting that it's set up for pressing, because I was going to ask if there are different strategies. That some people like set a half court and kind of invite you to come, or another one's pressed high. But I guess you answered that.
The strategies are insane. And they change due to fatigue, due to who's on the court, due to so many things.
Nice.
Yeah.
So after that, because I know a little bit about your story,
Yep.
eventually you work your way up to Team Canada.
Yeah. Yep. So David Wilson is the one that brought me to my first practice. He was prepping for Sydney. I was at his place in London, and they got the swag package from Roots to go to Sydney.
Nice.
And it all showed up, and I was like, wow, you know, this is cool. You know, it's for real right there. And I could just feel his energy.
Yeah.
And excitement. And so, you know, just labeling, it's just so cool. So I got to my first tournament to watch in Montreal in May of 2000. And from there, you know, I was training with the London Annihilators and training on my own. I got a personal trainer at the YMCA in London. I started pushing up and down a small like parking ramp at the hospital. That's what I wanted. It's what I knew right away. This is what I'm going to do. The CEO at the time, she laughs because, you know, I met her and I introduced myself, and I'm definitely pretty confident at a young age. I said to her, like, I'm going to be on this team. And so May of 2001, in either Regina or Saskatoon, we had tryouts, and I squeezed in one of the last two spots, me and another fellow, Adam Frost. So that was 2001. Made the national team 2001.
Yeah.
And then 02, we were in Sweden, and we ended up winning Worlds in 02, and it just took off from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many, so Sydney was 2000, right?
Correct.
2000, and then your first Olympics was?
Athens 04.
04.
Yeah, so we beat USA, not really supposed to beat them, and we had a great rivalry with them. There's a movie called Murder Ball, documentary about wheelchair rugby.
Right.
That's the original name of the sport. And that documents the 02 Sweden up to 04 Athens and our rivalry with the US. Yeah. So Athens was our first one, and we beat USA in the semis to go play New Zealand in the finals, and we were up on them, and they crept back and snuck it out on us, and we left with a silver, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But to see the Paralympics in person, I was like, oh, it was better than I anticipated, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was going to be what my focus was.
Yeah. So in the documentary Murder Ball, you said it was highlighting the rivalry between you and the States.
Yeah.
Now, was that a friendly rivalry, or
not then?
No.
Now, I'm friends. A lot of the guys are retired. You know, I'm almost 50. I just retired in April. When I see some of the old USA guys, we have a laugh and have a coffee and chit chat. Still don't talk about those years,
right.
But
right.
we have respect,
right.
Because they were as hungry and nasty as we were.
For sure.
And we had some confident guys that had like to talk.
Yeah.
So did they. We were young and full of vinegar, as they say. So there were times where we would go to their training center in Alabama, and it would just be us versus them.
Yeah.
For like a week.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's no one else around.
Yeah.
And it's getting heated. Yeah. So if it were a hockey training camp, there would be gloves off constantly.
Right.
But you're not fighting in wheelchairs. You can barely reach each other.
Right.
It's just not a thing.
Right. But
you can definitely dirty hit, and just things got aggressive, and it was intoxicating. It was awesome. Great memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just quickly sidebar on that, because I want to know, is there a lot of trash talking?
Yeah. So I can speak for myself. Early on in my career, because I grew up playing ball like I just grew up playing ball a certain way, basketball, and talking was part of it. You know, we would come to the city and grind, and we had some tough people around, and you had to be a fighter. You know, otherwise you're either on the bench or you're not getting your layups or any of that. You know what I mean? That's how I played ball.
Yeah.
So I brought that mentality to rugby. It just felt normal. So yeah, like, as far as talking, yeah, you show me a weakness, I'm gonna go. I would let you know. I'd talk about it. You know, oh, you're so easy to defend. Look at you, you go one way all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
But as you know, I became more of a professional. There were times where I was losing focus on my game and what I needed to do in my transitions and my strategy because my mouth was going.
Yeah.
And so through the coaching staff and maturing a bit and being less of a, I guess, playing bully ball.
Right.
I started to honor the beauty of the sport.
How many Olympics did you attend?
6.
6 Olympics. That's insane.
Yeah.
So that's a 24-year, 25-year career.
Yep. 01 to 24.
That's crazy, man. Now, did you find that as you aged up as an athlete, that you were, as you kind of alluded to there, that you were relying less on your physical skills and more on the mental game? Like, how does that, did you find that there was things that you could no longer do as you're an aging athlete, or maybe not as well as you could do?
Yeah. I guess, you know, I was naive early on in my career. And so some of my mental game was more of like ignorance is bliss, and everything just rolled off my back. And, you know, it was a highly aggressive mentality, you know, and that was it. The highs were high and the lows were low. You know, I was either feeling like a winner or a loser. And then I wanted to play again the next tournament to feel like a winner again. Mm-hmm. And that isn't very sustainable. That's what I was doing. So as time went on, you know, I learned to take better care of myself, my nutrition, my stretching, my mental prep. And all these things, and my wellness improved, which I started to get faster in my 30s and 40s, which was great. And relying less on raw skill and raw talents, you know. And so relying on, you know, and sports science has changed. We win some medals, we get more funding, and now we have physiologists, sports psychologists, nutritionists, you know, physios, massage. So we have a PT, performance enhancement team around us, and they're guiding us down the path. They're teaching me how to be a professional, and that was a gift as well. You know, when I was younger, I think I took it for granted, but we were utilizing what Sport Canada can provide, and that's a world-class organization. You know, Canadian Paralympic Committee.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love talking to you about, you know, between classes, before classes, after classes, is about some of that, the stuff that you did in training or some of the methods you used. Because like you said, you had access to the best. And like, you know, that's a level of care that not a lot of athletes get to experience. And, you know, you get to, like you said, you had the best nutritionists and physios and sports performance specialists. And like being able to access that, it's just like another level.
It's so cool. Because as a kid, you know, I really feel my dreams came true. In the gymnasium with Mr. B, I wanted to be a pro bowler. Yeah. You know, I was like, I want to play pro sport. Like, who wouldn't? This is what and so, you know, it came in a different way. Yeah. But it really, my childhood dream came true.
Yeah. It's crazy how, like, that path worked out for you.
Yeah.
But to get to the highest point in sport, the pinnacle of sport, the Olympics. And then, you know, walk away with medals. Speaking of which, how many medals did you get in the Olympics, and what were they?
Yeah, so 04 Athens was a silver. 08 Beijing was a bronze. I still haven't watched that semifinals. But that's okay, that's sport, because it motivated, it really was a driver for the next 4 years. And then we silvered again in London. And then the last 3, we did not medal, but, you know, on the cusp. So yeah, it was a great early run and a great later run. Yeah.
Now, which out of the 6 Olympics were your favorite?
You know, they all have different meanings, and you know, my wife at the time and my kids attended the 08 and 12 and 16. So like to spend time with them and watch them as young people in the stands and enjoying themselves in 16 was very, very special, you know, like to have the family there was really nice. So, you know, that's memorable for me. The 16 is very memorable, and we fourth in that one. And, you know, that was okay. You know, it's what happened. So that one stands out. And the 12 really stands out. You know, we're down to the last maybe minute 30 against USA in the semis, and it's getting just tight. We have a turnover. We make a mistake on an inbound, you know, pressure's on with last minute, you know, and there's 12,000 people, and we make a few plays to turn it back over on them and win with basically a buzzer beater. Ooh. To go to the finals against Australia. And just the locker room and the bus ride and the energy, I can feel it now, you know, you're floating. A win like that. So medaling in 12, you know, is really cool. Then the closing, you know, was Rihanna's there, Coldplay and Jay-Z. You know, it was a big, 12 was a great one. So 16 and 12 kind of stand out right now. Yeah. But they all have meaning. Yeah.
Did you know when you were in Paris in 24 that was going to be your last one?
Yeah. Yeah, my last game, you know, some of my old teammates on the warm-ups, you know, I just was thanking them for being there for me. And I knew that, I knew in my heart, and I was thankful. It wasn't easy, but it was also easy, if that makes sense. Like I felt emotionally and physically ready. The rigors and the demand and the travel and the obsession, it's a selfish career. You have to be really self-focused on body and mind and rest. And so it's hard it can be hard on relationships. Right. You know? But anyway, you know, the rigors, I could tell it was like, you know, I started to cash some checks on my body that my body was like, you know, this account's getting a little in the red, brother.
Might be an overdraft here.
We got an overdraft coming.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you kind of picked the perfect time for me. Like if you got to go out on your own terms, hit the last Olympics, and then kind of ride off into the sunset. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's a really cool thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. So we're through to 24, almost to the part where you know, I meet you come into the gym to get a massage, a treatment for my wife Grace here at Level Massage Therapy. And I'll be honest, when you came in the door and you're like, I'm here for massage, I was like, boy. Yeah. Right? Because I was like, that's upstairs, up that giant flight of stairs. Yeah. And you're like, no problem. If you can get my wheelchair up there, I can get up the stairs. And believe me, that was a huge relief for me. Yeah. But through that, you know, I was interested in chatting with you, and we had a good conversation and talked about, you know, the gym and what we do here, and a little bit about you. And then, you know, you started here at All Level, and that was for me, it was a cool moment as well, because you were the first seated athlete that had been with us on a full-time basis. We had someone who used to drop in once in a while, but that was something that I was excited about, because I believe in CrossFit, and I believe in the scalability and the methodology, and I was like, I'm excited to try to make this work, right? Yep. And you coming from a very high performance background, I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. It's gonna be fun, right? So I really wanted to get you in here, and I'm glad that you ended up coming and becoming a member. So what kind of made you want to come back and give it a shot?
Yeah. So I knew that, like, if I want a good massage, going to a CrossFit gym, that usually works well, because the massage therapists there work usually on athletes. Right. And that's what I was looking for. Yeah. So that's kind of like something I've done before. We're training somewhere, I'm going to look at that type of setting for a massage that works, you know, for an athlete. Yeah. And then you and I just, you know, hit it off. We started chatting, and, you know, the place felt welcoming. I had just moved back to the area, so I wanted to get on schedule with a training schedule, which works well for me. Yeah. and routine. I had done, I would say, group fitness that was CrossFit-ish when I was living in New Hampshire for several years, and I enjoyed the social part. I like getting to know my classmates. I like, going to the 9 o'clock, it's the 9:30 here.
Yeah.
And so that routine. So those were the things that, and it just felt right. I was like, oh my gosh, like how perfect, like this is going to be, perfect. And so it has been, it really, I'm enjoying it on so many levels, and we continue to grow and try new things, and I'm getting stronger, and, it's just been great for me.
Cool. I didn't know that that's why you chose level massage therapy, and that's amazing to hear that, because I thought it was just a random Google search and you're like, I'm going to go to this place, but actually seeking it out because of that, which is super smart, because that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the reason that my wife wants to be here as well is because she likes working with athletes, right?
Yeah.
She likes working with athletes, and I'm glad that happened. So tell me, maybe what's your favorite part about the community so far?
Getting to know my classmates, getting to know Gaber and Rich, they've been fun, and some of the other guys. So that, and watching them work hard. It's great to see, getting to know the staff, you Zach's staff and Grace. It's been great. It has a family feel, I always feel welcome. We stay to chat, and that's good for me. That's my social health. It ticks a big box for me. And so those are the things that really keep me coming back. And I like to gym rat it a bit. Sometimes I'll stick around for a half hour and stretch, and I'm just like, because if I go home, I'm not going to really stretch. I may massage gun for like 4 minutes, and then I get distracted.
Yeah.
So I get my stretch on here, which has been a mainstay in my my usual thing. So those are the things that really keep me coming. And the coffee's usually on, which is great.
Coffee's always on. The amount of coffee that Zach, myself, and Steph consume is probably bordering on unhealthy, but we love our caffeine. Is there a PR or something that you've done in the gym that you're most proud of?
So I guess my version, the seated version of the deadlift, where I'm bent over and pulling up and getting it to up, over my head.
Yeah.
Seeing that, there's a fellow in the States, Chuck Milton, who's a CrossFitter. He was invited to the competition just a couple weeks ago, but he was taking care of some things. I play with him in Tampa on the wheelchair rugby team, and seeing him do that, I was like, nice, cool. You know what I mean? For me, I can feel my lower back getting stronger, and it's a cool feeling, because then I'll go play some recreation wheelchair rugby, and it's applicable. So just when I thought that I was training for 25 years, there's some things I might have missed. You know what I mean? There was some function, some feeling, some strength in my lower back that I didn't test.
Yeah.
And push. So it's great. I'm not sad about that. But as a wheelchair rugby coach, I can share that knowledge. Like, hey, there's still things I'm learning about my body that will help me be faster in a wheelchair, applicable. So I like that, because I'm getting stronger.
Yeah.
And it's a muscle group that I thought was maybe pretty paralyzed, and it's actually not.
Yeah. We always say that, when athletes come in here and start with CrossFit, it fills in gaps that maybe you didn't know you had. And like CrossFit's going to build the broad base, and then it's up to the sport and the sports coaches to kind of do the specific stuff, right? But we can build that base and strength and athleticism and that kind of stuff that's going to translate to anything. Like I've seen it in so many sports, and there's really no sport, I don't think, that can benefit from having that broad athletic base. And that's, I think, what CrossFit kind of does. It fills in those gaps that you didn't know you had by having you do things that you hadn't thought about, or movements that aren't common if you're going to a general gym or maybe working with a regular strength and conditioning coach. CrossFit has some stuff that just doesn't come up in gyms, like a rope climb or even some box jumps and things like that can really help with that athleticism. And I found that in myself for playing basketball, for playing whatever sports, back in my flag football days.
Yeah. A lot of functional movement exercises and gymnastics movements, and there's a lot of history and reasons why those are successful movements for athletes. It's cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What else? I'm trying to go down my list here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could give your day one CrossFit self some advice, what would it be? So first day you walk in, first class, knowing what you know now, like you haven't been here for a ton of time.
Yeah, but I'm at about 5-6 months now. I think about 6 months.
Yeah.
Ish. That's a good question. I guess just continuing. Maybe. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because I feel like I'm pretty open to trying things. And I feel like, it's easy to make friends here. I guess the workouts are a little tougher than I anticipated sometimes. So my nutrition was off in the beginning. I was undernourished before coming. Yeah. So I wasn't, I didn't know how hard I was going to work here. Right. I can get sweat on. And so in the beginning, sometimes I was bonking a little bit. So I was a little undernourished and my timing was off. And I think that's just because I needed to know that or learn that, it's going to be a hard workout. And the coaches are keeping an eye on me and making sure that I'm like safe and pushing me. So, there's a few times I didn't really say in the beginning, but I'm dying here, man. I didn't eat barely anything. I need a banana.
It's awesome that you have that awareness, though, and also that knowledge you can fall back on where you're like, I know what happened. I know why I was unable to perform there because I didn't properly fuel, right? There's a lot of people that won't be able to connect those dots. And it's taken me a ton of time to really figure out how much of a part that nutrition piece plays in your performance and even beyond performance, your everyday life in terms of, how you feel, how you sleep, all the things, right? Mood, a lot of things are tied to that. And it's like, that's one of the biggest pieces that is missing in a lot of people's training, I find. And it's cool that you're able to like, oh yeah, that's the reason that I was unable to push there because I didn't properly fuel before the workout.
Yeah. When it's time to play against the US and there's performance on demand, the having anything close to a doubt that your nutrition's off is putting you at a disadvantage and your team at a disadvantage, so it's just such a focused nutrition, but it takes time to dial it in, and my training and my body has changed over the years, so I need to continue to adapt and learn.
Yeah, that's a great perspective too, that if your nutrition's not on, especially playing a team sport, you're potentially letting your team down too.
Oh yeah.
That's a massive...
And you're a team guy, like it's the last thing.
Yeah, no. You don't want to be the one that's dropping the ball because you didn't, you ate the wrong food or you weren't eating properly.
Or not hydrated.
Yeah. There, another good one too. Yeah. Okay. How has CrossFit helped you in your daily life? Is there anything that has kind of improved upon? Maybe a real world example?
Yeah. So, I would say, there's day to day, I think the consistency of coming is a direct correlation to my sleep and my hydration and nutrition. And, like my friend and I were laughing, like some days when I wake up, I'm like, whew, can't wait to get back to bed.
Yeah.
Because getting close to 50, I'm like, I'm addicted to my sleep now. And it's all about, what my next sleep's going to be like. And so having a consistent workout here, and it just puts me on a good schedule through my day, through my week. And my weekends are just really, relaxing and nice. And it's just that feeling of wellness. And so like being in transition after retiring and not having a consistent training schedule was, it was affecting my sleep a bit and a few other things. And I like to have consistency in how I feel and, how my day-to-day action is.
Yeah, I know that for me personally as well, that kind of the workout is the pillar that kind of holds up the other stuff. If I'm not working out, then the nutrition tends to slide and the rest of it, the sleep and things tend to slide a little bit. But when the workout piece is there, then I want my nutrition to be better. I want my sleep to be better so that it doesn't affect the way I perform in the gym, even though, I'm not training for any big competition, but it's just like the day-to-day feeling. So I know that that's the pillar that holds everything together for me, is that coming to the gym. My family sometimes thinks I'm a little bit crazy when I'm showing up here. I'm like, oh, gotta go to the gym. Or even if we're on vacation, same sort of thing. I'm like, we've got to do something physical during the day, because that's what holds everything else together. Mental state, physical state, everything. So
Absolutely.
it's just that piece that I need now. So that's good to hear. All right. Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah. Yep. I do. Getting here at 9:30 is the goal, and so I have a few morning things that I take care of, and water is like the first. Then a coffee, and I like a breathing meditation or some type of other morning start to just center a bit.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for about 12 years now, and it's just a nice start to my day. Just like the workout. It kind of centers me, where I'm at in the moment.
Yeah.
And I like that. It helps. And it's like workouts. Like I'll find different modalities. It could be a breathing exercise. It could be, a low hertz sound that's nature. It could be a guided, focus. And it's changed over the years, but I've been pretty consistent with it.
Yeah.
And it's a nice start. And then usually I'll touch base with some friends in the morning. They'll touch base with me, just kind of checking in, like how's the day going? And it could be, hey, are you having a coffee? Or it could be like, hey, I'm a little sideways on a couple of things. Do you have a second to chat? And those, again, that's another thing I've been doing for about 12 years now. And it's a nice way to start the day. And if I get a little bit away from that routine, it's not a huge deal, but I can't really stray too far from that routine because I can feel it.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's a part that for myself that I always tell myself that I'm going to include in my morning routine, because I've done a little bit of some guided breathing stuff, and I find meditation very hard.
Yeah.
But all those ones that are the more gentle side of wellness, like stretching and meditation and breathing, are for some reason harder for me to do. Right. Yeah. I'm much more apt or much more likely to, hey, let's go lift something heavy. Let's go grind it out, as opposed to take that step back and do a little self-care, which.
The off switch. Learning about the off switch through some education with the national team and practicing the off switch. And I think there's like some cool research on the vagus nerve.
Right.
I don't know much about it, but I think that's related to the off switch, right? The parasympathetic, and learning just a little bit about that. And for me, it was always about winning. So I was like, well, it's going to help me be a stronger athlete, and we can play USA or Australia and beat them, or Japan, or have a shot at them.
Yeah.
Then I want a shot. So I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah. That was kind of like the carrot, the trick.
Yeah.
And then that was the beginning of that journey for me. It was like, oh, I can be faster and a better athlete if I actually practice being down a little bit, because I know what it feels like to be on and ready and stimulated.
That's a great perspective on that as well too, that you can still frame it as a tool to get better in performance, and not something, I think my mindset is like it's something you have to do to balance things out. But I like that if you can frame it and say, hey, this is going to help you get better, and you just have to be willing to put in the work and the time to do the things. And I guess it's one of those things too that, they say do the things that scare you a little bit, or do the things that are hard for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot more room for growth in those areas that you haven't dabbled in a lot. Okay. I think we're getting close to the end. I want to go a little rapid fire if I can.
Sure.
Favorite movement in the gym?
Stretching.
Stretching. All right. Least favorite move in the gym?
The version of burpee that I do can get pretty hard. That one kick my butt.
What's that? Can you describe that to me?
Yeah, so I pull the rings. I got the rings to me and beside me, and I get out of my wheelchair, I get basically on the ground, and pull myself up. And then if I'm really feeling froggy, I'll get a dip in there. Right. So like getting 10 of those with maybe 5 dips, it's like I'm going to feel it the next day.
Yeah, that's almost like a seated muscle up.
Yeah.
Seated strict muscle up.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass. All right. I know the answer to this: morning, afternoon, or evening class.
Yeah, morning. Yeah.
Morning, right? You're the 9:30 guy.
Yeah.
No early mornings. Not in retirement.
Not yet. Semi-retired here, so
Yeah.
no, I don't really have to push it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Long endurance workouts or short and intense workouts?
Ooh, I've loved them both.
Yeah.
There's times that I've loved them both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Right now, I am craving a long, like an LSD, a long, slow distance.
Yeah, yeah.
I am, because I don't get to do that too often anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like in the confines of class, like, you know, you got a 60-minute class, we're going to fit in at most maybe a 25, 30-minute workout.
Yeah.
You know, I am trying to convince you to do the Detroit Half Marathon, but that would be
an opportunity, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be my long, slow. Yep.
Okay. Favorite indulgent food?
I'd crush an ice cream.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Right now, it's Grammy's Cupboard.
Oh.
It's a Shaw's brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'll double scoop that.
Nice. Are you an ice cream or gelato guy?
I'm more ice cream, but I won't get too fussy when it comes to
shy away from a good gelato.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Favorite healthy food?
I just like a spinach. I'm constantly eating spinach. I remember my kids would buy bags of spinach and call them chips for spinach chips, kids.
Did that work?
I don't know. I'll have to ask them someday. They're young adults now. They're pretty smart kids. But so I'll have to find out.
Well, that's it. I know that I've tried to sneak spinach, or my wife's tried to sneak spinach into spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
I can tell. It drives me nuts. I try to put a little protein powder in the cereal. They're like, Dad, put some protein powder in it.
It's like a dog sniffing out a pill.
Exactly. 100%. You know, you wrap it in a little piece of meat, and you're like, here you go, and then it doesn't end up. They can sniff that out from a mile away. All right. Favorite pre-workout snack? Yeah,
a banana will always do the job for me.
Yeah.
Like having one of those guys around.
Yeah, that's one of my faves too. Favorite post-workout snack?
I'll protein powder. You know, you guys got the protein powder here. It works perfect. So I'll bring it in my bag.
Good. I'll give a plug out to Protein.
Yes. All right,
owned by one of the owners being my brother Zach. So I gotta give a plug out to that. Favorite way to relax?
Oof. You know, a baseball game on the couch these days is pretty chill.
Yeah.
I can sneak a nap in there.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to unwind. Okay, I think that's all for Rapid Fire, bud. Thank you so much for being the initial podcast guest. I had a ton of fun, and I learned a bunch of stuff about you that potentially I didn't know before. So join us next time, guys, on Levels, where we go a little bit deeper with some of our members, get to know them. There's a lot of amazing stories in the gym that just don't get told, and so we want to tell them. We want to get everybody more familiar with each other, strengthen that community. So if you can, like, share, subscribe. We're going to come back next week. I believe we're going to have Coach Stephanie Dufour on the show, and she's going to tell us about her journey as an athlete and a coach. And I can't wait for that to happen. Thanks again, Mike.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Awesome. Well, I think that went okay.
Yeah, that was fun.